Here's a question with Aspinall. What happens with Aspinall in the second round? If you want to talk about a guy who sprints, you want to talk about a guy who's fast twitch, Aspinall's one of the fastest heavyweights. He might be the fastest heavyweight in the history of the sport. I don't think anybody moves like that guy does. He beat everybody else's ass too. All the other heavyweights, ragdoll dudes way bigger than him. He's just a freak, and he is again the next the next advancement of the evolution of the sport.
How so?
Joe Rogan ignited controversy this week, claiming Jon Jones would ragdoll Tom Aspinall on the ground, despite previously stating that Aspinall is too fast and powerful and could beat anybody in that division. This apparent contradiction has UFC fans questioning Rogan's objectivity.
I recognise that Tom's got a bit of size advantage on Jon Jones, and some of the fights I've seen Jon Jones in, I'd find it very difficult to pick against him. But the size and like if just the way you've just explained Tom Aspinall and the fact that he's a potential all-time great and he does everything well. I mean, if you're saying that, then it's obviously I'm taking that as read. That is
and maybe there's a little bit.
Michael Bisping has also entered the debate, boldly predicting that Aspinall will not only defeat Jones, but crush him on his path to becoming the future UFC GOAT. The burning question remains, will 2025 finally deliver this dream heavyweight matchup? Jones has carefully selected his opponent since moving to heavyweight, facing Cyril Gane and Stipe Miocic, while Aspinall dominates the division's elite. Some view the delay as a UFC negotiation tactic to build anticipation, while others wonder if Jones is deliberately avoiding his most dangerous challenger. Is Jones truly undisputed without facing Aspinall?
Everything. That guy's got elite jiu-jitsu. He's got elite takedowns. His striking is outstanding. I mean, he knocked out Sergey, who's the scariest striker in all of MMA, and he knocked him out in the first round.
The 31-year-old Englishman has been nothing short of spectacular in his UFC career, demolishing top contenders with an average fight time of just 2 minutes and 2 seconds per bout. His blistering 60-second knockout of Curtis Blaydes to claim the interim title showcased the explosive power and athleticism that has made him the betting favorite in a potential showdown with Jones. But according to UFC commentator Joe Rogan, all this Aspinall hype might be premature. In a recent episode of his podcast with Brendan Schaub, Rogan made headlines with his bold prediction about how a Jones-Aspinall fight would play out. He could take him down and fucking ragdoll him on the ground.
Makes you think he could take on anyone. He's 6'5", 260 pounds, but he moves like a lightweight, fast hands, heavy power, and a 100% finish rate in the UFC.
All of his fights, like all together, he's fought like 10 minutes. Everybody gets blown out.
That's the kind of...
Rogan's assessment turned one of Aspinall's perceived strengths, his grappling, into a potential weakness, suggesting that Jones's wrestling pedigree would prove too much for the Brit to handle. But Rogan's most intriguing point centered around Aspinall's cardio and ability to perform in the championship rounds. We also don't know what happens to Tom Aspinall in the 3rd, 4th, and 5th rounds. We have zero idea. No one's gotten there. No one's even gotten close.
I'm interested to see how Aspinall is past the first round. He looks so fast. He looks, and you're like, nobody moves like him. He looks like a younger Kane, but he just keeps knocking these guys out so quick. So I'm like, let me see him past the first round to see if he has that cardio as well.
And, you know, you're getting up to elite status where you're calling out Jon Jones. Jon Jones has had some trials and tribulations, but the skill set and the ability to push deep into rounds. But Aspinall, we've only seen him smash. But again, what is it like in the 5th round with Jon Jones? Because if you can't steamroll Jon Jones, that's the boogeyman. Like, Jon Jones is the boogeyman.
It's a fair assessment. Aspinall has never been to the 3rd round in his professional career, a testament to his finishing ability, but also an untested area that Jones, known for his championship conditioning, could potentially exploit. What makes this potential clash so fascinating is the contrasting styles and physical attributes of both fighters. Rogan has described Aspinall as significantly faster than every other heavyweight, even faster than Francis Ngannou, whom Rogan called the greatest and scariest power striker he's ever seen in the division. Tom Aspinall is a freak, Rogan said on episode number 2239 of the JRE. I've seen a lot of heavyweights, even Francis, who's like the greatest and scariest power striker I've ever seen in the heavyweight division. Tom Aspinall is significantly faster than every other heavyweight. That's a real problem.
Who's next big heavyweight star?
Tom Aspinall, the guy who just won the interim title. He's phenomenal, and he is again the next the next advancement of the evolution of the sport.
How so?
Well, because he can do everything. That guy's got elite jiu-jitsu. He's got elite takedowns. His striking is outstanding. I mean, he knocked out Sergey, who's the scariest fucking striker in all of MMA.
Yeah.
And he knocked him out in the first round. And the way he did it was just picture perfect. And he did it with a fucked up back. You watch Aspinall, like, I knew Aspinall was going to have a speed advantage because he's faster than any heavyweight.
Yeah.
And that's something that his coach drilled into him when he was young.
Speed.
Like, be fast. Like, you got to be fast. That's what's going to separate you from everybody else.
Speed kills.
Speed. And he's a giant dude, 260 plus pounds, but he moves like a fast young guy.
Yeah.
Like a light guy. And so that's what's, and he's also just so well-rounded. And he's just beginning.
Yeah.
I mean, that was really the first big test of his career.
This speed advantage could be crucial against Jones, who has faced fast opponents before, but never someone with Aspinall's combination of size, power, and quickness. Meanwhile, Jones brings unmatched experience, fight IQ, and wrestling credentials to the table. Despite competing as a heavyweight, Jones reportedly weighs around 230 pounds, considerably lighter than most in the division, including Aspinall.
When Aspinall fights Jon Jones,
I gotta hope they fight. I want to know.
It's gotta happen, right?
Here's a question with Aspinall. What happens with Aspinall in the second round? Like,
I guess
you want to talk about a guy who sprints.
Yeah.
You want to talk about a guy who's fast twitch. Aspinall's one of the fastest heavyweights. He might be the fastest heavyweight in the history of the sport. I don't think anybody moves like that guy does. At a 250 plus pound frame, his movement's extraordinary. And that's something you have to deal with. Like, that is a crazy ability. His ability to move, like the way he moves, is so much different than everybody else in the sport. Like, Google.
Rogan highlighted Jones's proven track record against heavyweights in training. He always had the reputation of fing all the heavyweights up at Jackson Winklejohn. When Brendan went down and trained with him, Brendan was a heavyweight. Brendan Schaub was like, he fed me up. He goes, dude, I was like top 10 in the world as a heavyweight. I thought I was the set. And he fed me up. He goes, he beat my A, and he beat everybody else's a Puyatas too.
But can he do that with a guy like Aspinall, who's a legit 255-pound natural who moves like he's 80 pounds lighter? He's a freak, man.
Yeah.
Aspinall's a freak. Like, I've seen a lot of heavyweight, even Francis, who's like the greatest, scariest power striker I've ever seen in the heavyweight division. No one's scarier than Francis. Francis does not move like Tom Aspinall. Tom Aspinall is significantly faster than every other heavyweight. That's a real problem. That's a real problem. But Jon has been used to fighting guys like Alexander Gustafsson. Jon's used to really fast people. He fought Lyoto Machida when Machida was in his prime.
Right.
Machida was a lightning bolt, man. And he caught Jon a bunch of times. But then there's the thing of getting caught by Lyoto Machida is not like getting caught by 255-pound Tom Aspinall.
So where do things stand now with this potential super fight? According to UFC Hall of Famer Chael Sonnen, the bout is closer to reality than many think. In a bombshell revelation to Submission Radio, Sonnen claimed, they got a deal done with Jon Jones and Aspinall, at least verbally, the night before. This is inside information. You will not have heard this story anywhere else. They got a deal done verbally the night before Pereira versus Ankalaev.
Jon's gonna come back. He's gonna take the hardest fight of his career, who they say is the greatest heavyweight we've ever had. Ends up getting hurt, can't do the fight. Insert a gentleman, Sergey Pavlich. You then told Jon Jones that he would not fight Sergey Pavlich. In Sergey's very next fight, he went down to a British gentleman called Tom Aspinall. I mean, as sure as night follows day, Tom Aspinall is the guy. And Jon's looking around and going, hey, one thing at a time, and I got this thing. And while you guys are trying to pull me over in the Alex Pereira direction, and you're pulling him in the Tom direction, I can't let you succeed. After Jon fights Stipe Guns, he fights Tom Aspinall. Well, what if Stipe beats him? Go ahead and beat him. Stipe is sincerely retiring after this fight. So if Stipe beats Jon and we now have a vacated title, it's Jon versus Tom. If Jon gets over on Stipe, Tom, who's going to be sitting right there in the front row with his nice, beautiful, shiny belt, and Jon standing there talking to Joe Rogan with his nice, shiny belt, the fight will be made right there.
This aligns with UFC CEO Dana White's recent comments to TNT Sports that the fight is just a matter of when now, getting it signed and done.
With Tom Aspinall, come on, man.
Yeah, that's...
Give us a little bit of something. Can the fans get excited about the super fight?
I'll tell you what I've been telling you since day one. The fight's going to happen. The fight's going to happen. It's just a matter of when now, and getting it signed and done, and the fight will happen.
Do you have a cut-off point in your mind of when to get that done?
No, it's going to happen. It's done, but it's not done. Not done enough to sit right here now.
Aspinall himself has been teasing a major announcement following what he described as a fantastic meeting with UFC executive Hunter Campbell earlier this month. You've got to stay tuned because there's some big news coming, Aspinall told Ariel Helwani, fueling speculation that an official announcement could be imminent. One potential holdup: reports that Jones wants 6 months to prepare for the bout. But Sonnen believes this time frame might not be as firm as it appears. I don't believe Jon meant it when he said it. I don't think Jon ever knew this was going to be a statement he could make that would then stick around for 3 weeks and everybody would be bouncing this back and forth. I don't think he really meant it.
If I had my choice, I think I would match Jon up differently. I would try to get him beat. I mean, we've been trying to get him beat for years. Can I jump in on one technicality, Demetrius? Let's just paint a scenario. Tom Aspinall's in the front row. He's the interim champion. Jon Jones and Stipe go fight. Jon Jones says, I'm not going to retire. And you've got interim champion versus undisputed champion. Wrong. And you got to look into the bylaws of government affairs. The interim champion can only exist when there is that absence of an undisputed champion. And therefore, the moment the bell rings for Jon Jones' next fight, there is no longer an interim champion. The moment the bell rings, the undisputed champion has returned, which means Tom Aspinall, sitting in the front row with his shiny belt, is stripped instantly.
Wow, look at the case and drop us some fucking knowledge.
It's pretty good though,
and
right?
You're absolutely,
for the people that care, they'll like that.
Sonnen predicts the fight will happen this November in New York, potentially at Madison Square Garden, which has produced the UFC's largest live gate in history. The implications of this fight extend far beyond a simple unification bout. For Jones, it represents a chance to silence critics who claim he's avoiding the division's most dangerous threat and cement his legacy as the greatest fighter of all time across multiple weight classes. For Aspinall, it's an opportunity to dethrone a legend and establish himself as the face of a new era in the heavyweight division.
Now that you and Jon Jones may never fight, could you bring him in to be a sparring partner?
I don't know if we may never fight. I don't know. What he needs is just the UFC to want to. I think that would be an opportunity to fight Jon Jones.
The winner would also likely face calls for a showdown with Francis Ngannou, who still considers himself the best heavyweight, despite no longer competing in the UFC. Ngannou has stated, I still believe Jon is the great fighter. As far as fighting is concerned, I think he's the best fighter. I personally can't classify him as the best heavyweight of all time. Come on, man. He's established as a fighter, but not as a heavyweight. I claim that title, and there's an opportunity to settle that. We can settle that once and for all.
I have also said that I'm scared of fighting Jon Jones. I don't know where they came from with that one. Sounds very ridiculous because I've been calling for this fight for over 2 years. I've been waiting for this fight forever. And now, why do I be scared of them? No, I'm not scared. I'm scared of is to be trapped. You guys know how the UFC contract can be restrictive. You don't really have a say in that contract. You don't even have a right in order to negotiate a better deal for me. I know I have to earn my position, and that's what I've been doing in the past 5 years.
Whether such a cross-promotional bout could ever materialize remains highly questionable, but it adds another layer of intrigue to the Jones-Aspinall narrative. As we await official confirmation of what Dana White has called the biggest heavyweight fight in UFC history, the debate rages on about who would emerge victorious in this clash of styles, eras, and legacies. Will Jones's experience, fight IQ, and grappling prowess prove too much for the British phenom? Or will Aspinall's explosive speed, power, and well-rounded skill set finally hand Bones his first legitimate defeat?
Yeah. Aspinall's a freak. Like, I've seen a lot of heavyweight, even Francis, who's like the greatest, scariest power striker I've ever seen in the heavyweight division. No one's scarier than Francis. Francis does not move like Tom Aspinall. Tom Aspinall is significantly faster than every other heavyweight. That's a real problem. That's a real problem. But Jon has been used to fighting guys like Alexander Gustafsson, guys who are really fast at light heavyweight. So the speed is not going to be as much of an adjustment. Like, Jon's used to really fast people. He fought Lyoto Machida when Machida was in his prime. Machida was a lightning bolt, man. And he caught Jon a bunch of times. But then there's the thing of getting caught by Lyoto Machida is not like getting caught by 255-pound Tom Aspinall.
One thing is certain. The MMA world is holding its collective breath for an announcement that could reshape the heavyweight landscape for years to come. For now, as Cal Sonnen bluntly put it, whoever is better will win. 100% of the time. We'll be following this story closely as it develops. Thanks for watching.